Welcome back. We're going to do something a little different today. I'm going to look through my CD collection. I found this in a building as I was moving over a year ago, and I've kind of just kept it in my trunk, this big old beast, the body glove case. It's been in the trunk of my car, and I recently acquired a car with a CD player, so I was like, let's break out the CDs. Let's see what we got. I do a podcast called Stuck in My Generation, and it is very much so about how I am stuck in my generation, even though that's kind of faded over the years. Like, I don't listen to the same 90s and early 2000s music that I used to religiously. I've sprinkled in a lot of newer metal for the most part, newer metal. So I'm not completely stuck in my generation, but, of course I am one of those guys that was like, the music was better back then in my opinion, but it depends on what genre. Like, I think metal is better now. That's just my opinion. Rock, straight rock was better back then. Hip hop was better back then in my opinion. I don't know, so on and so forth. Let's take a look at my collection and let's talk about it. Granted, this isn't everything. I've had way bigger collections and I sold it off to record stores. So I'm not sure how this survived. Really not sure how this survived, but let's start taking a peek at it. All right. The massive body glove case. This thing's kind of grimy. We're going to open it up. It's really stiff where it's been in the cold. And instantly you can see that I am a Pearl Jam fan. We have Versus, Vitalogy, Yield, and Riot Act. This album is quite terrible. I really don't love Pearl Jam like I used to back in the day. Like, these albums have some, there's some nostalgia here. I believe I went and watched them on the Yield tour and the Binaural tour. 10 is always the best album in my opinion, but even that has grown a little old. Pearl Jam, just not what they used to be to me. They'll always hold a special place in my heart, obviously. But yeah, these are the CDs I've got of Pearl Jam. Oh, and a Lost. Oh, we got to get in more focus there. The Lost album. I only have one of 2 discs because I lost it. Sorry. You're going to see some burnt copies in here too because I am a product of the year I graduated, 1999. We have Silverchair Diorama. Absolutely brilliant album. Silverchair is one of the most underrated bands of all time, in my opinion. I think once they got to Diorama, actually Neon Ball was really good, but Diorama and Straight Lines, which is a burnt copy, that really showed their musical talent, in my opinion. People didn't like it because it was less grunge, but Straight Lines is one of the best albums that no one gave a chance. It is absolutely fantastic. I remember listening to it the first time, and it was in the early 2000s when it came out. I don't remember when that was, 2003, 2004, 5, 6 maybe. I thought it was absolutely terrible. It took a while to grab hold, and I went years without listening to it. And sometimes you get in that position where you have nothing to listen to, so you're like, let me go back through the stuff that I should have given more time and see if it's any better to me now. And Straight Lines is the epitome of that album. It's the torchbearer of what I didn't give a chance and then later came to love. We got the Beatles, Please Please Me, which is not so much an album, but more a compilation. This actually was in a vehicle. Well, it was in the vehicle that I bought, and I just added it to the CD book. We've got A Perfect Circle. I love everything that Maynard James Keenan has ever done. Granted, I don't listen to his stuff as much as I used to because Tool's got like 3 albums over 48 years. And A Perfect Circle, they pumped out a handful, but there should be more. Murder Norms, love this. Used to go to sleep to this album when I was in my maybe 20, 21, 22 years old. This was my sleep album. I would wake up and this would be on. I just put it on repeat and I slept to it. Fantastic album. 13th Step, fantastic. Emotive, great covers album. That's a remix album that came with Emotive, I think. I love A Perfect Circle. Good stuff, but again, so I don't dip back into it too often. But I love the theme. They kept the same, CD theme. They just changed the colors up a little bit. I appreciate that for some reason. All right, back to the other side. We've got Muse. I am a Muse fan. Again, more so back in the day than I am now, but we've got Absolution, we've got Showbiz, and we've got what I believe to be, what is that one? Oh, it's the one with black holes and Can't remember. But yeah, that's that album. Why can't I remember? It's terrible. This is a new addition. Once I got the vehicle with the CD player, I'm a big fan of Idols. That's a 2024 thing. I really got into them, and I had to have all their music on one disc just to shuffle in my car. So I did make a Idols CD of everything from start to finish. Currently, banger. Stone Temple Pilots, we got Tiny Music and Purple. One of my favorite bands of all time. Honestly, I think their music held up better than most of the grunge that came out in the 90s. I think Stone Temple Pilots is hated on way too much. I think they're better than most of the big bands from the 90s, honestly. Just better music, in my opinion. All right, we've got... I grew up very punk, so we've got Guttermouth, Gusto, one of my favorite albums of all time. And then I've got... This is what I used to love about burning CDs, is we've got a Musical Monkey and Covered with Ants. So with 2 albums, 1 disc. You were able to do that back in the day because, you know, you could make MP3 discs or whatever. Love Guttermouth. Here's American Legion by Greg Graffin, the lead singer of Bad Religion. There's a big gash on top of it. I don't know if that'll work or not. Looks kind of broken. One of the most underrated albums of all time, Sum 41's Chuck. I don't even really like Sum 41, but Chuck was brilliant. Like, it's the perfect blend of punk and metal, and it's just brilliant. Magnolia soundtrack, Amy Mann, big fan of that movie, even though I haven't watched it in like 20-some years. Ooh, that's looking rough, too. That's not a great-looking CD. It's kind of, oh, we got some chewed up, you know, the silver on the edge there. Not good. Tool, Anima, and I believe that's Fear Inoculum. I bought that. I had a car... when that first came out 5 years ago that had a CD player, and I sold it a year after getting the album or whatever, but that was in my car for like a year. Good times. Moving on. We got the Descendants, I Don't Want to Grow Up. Big Descendants fan. Look at this. A copy of Nevermind by Nirvana. And that is an old copy. In Utero, which is my favorite Nirvana album. Bleach, which is actually a close second. I love these 2. This is nostalgia. These are fantastic. That was fantastic in its day, but it got overplayed. These, still fantastic. Big Radiohead fan. We got Pablo Honey, OK Computer, one of the best albums of all time, in my opinion. Kid A, which honestly I think is a tiny bit overrated, but I love it. It's on all kinds of like best albums of all time lists, and I'm just not quite there on it. I like Amnesiac more. Actually, quite a bit more than Kid A. Amnesiac was my jam. These 2 albums right here, probably my favorite Radiohead albums ever. An OK Computer and Amnesiac. Moving on. Old Crow Medicine Show. A burnt copy of Big Iron World. It was just because of that Wagon Wheel song back in the day. I mean, that did hit a lot of people, whether they were into that style or not. It still grabbed some of us, and it did grab me. I never really listened to this album that much, so... probably a wasted blank. Here's a band I don't love. Keane. Hopes and Fears. I don't know if this is not the album that I love. I love the something in the sea, the Iron Sea, something like that. Or maybe this is the same album. I can't remember. There's one album by them that I love, and it did not reciprocate with any of their other albums. These are just picture discs. Alkaline Trio. One of my... definitely a top 5 for me in the early 2000s. Absolutely loved Alkaline Trio. Not really into them like I used to be, because that's how things go, but they'll always hold a special place in my heart. Queens of the Stone Age, songs for the deaf with all kinds of cues. This is what was fun about doing CDs back in the day, is making doing your own little album art or whatnot. So, songs for the deaf, Queens of the Stone Age. I did buy this album. Don't be hating on me because of all these burnt CDs. I was young. I was pirating the music off the LimeWire. It's fine. Kind of. Love that album. Still love that band. Great stuff. Then we've got a compilation album. We've got Against Me, New Wave, I think is that album. White Stripes is on here. Maynard James Keenan Rare is what that stands for. I remember filling this out. Amy Winehouse, Lily Allen, and Velvet Revolver. I don't even like Velvet Revolver, so I'm not sure what was going on there. Maybe he was trying to give him a chance. I love Scott Weiland. Maybe that's why. Then we've got a tribute to the Misfits, Violent World. This is a fantastic tribute album. Really, really good stuff. Moving on, a band called the Subways. Don't even remember what they sound like. Maybe I'll throw that in the CD player today. Finch, What It Is to Burn. This was an amazing, fantastic, emo-ish, punkish album from the early 2000s. One of the better ones from that time. Rush, The Spirit of Radio, which is a compilation album, greatest hits basically. Love Rush. Bouncing Souls and Anti-Flag Split. There's a lot of Bouncing Souls in here, I know that. Joy Division, Unknown Pleasures, Johnny Cash's 5 on American Recordings. Pennywise, Full Circle. Pennywise was like what got me into punk, so they hold a special place in my heart always. AFI, December Underground. Do not like this album, but I burn it to check it out, and I bet I listened to it maybe once or twice. Maybe I would be into it more now, though. I don't know. I feel like I've tried some of their other newer stuff recently, and it didn't matter. Audio Slave, Revelations and Out of Exile. I was a big Audio Slave fan. Actually, pretty high on them. Liked them more than most. Then we've got a really good obscure punk band, Smoker Fire, The Sinking Ship, and Above the City. These are really good albums for that quick punk fix. Live, Throwing Copper, one of the best albums of all time. The reason it's in here. Then we also got Secret Samadhi, which I think was their last good album. Wasn't great like this, but I did believe it to be good. We got The Bronx, 2 and 3, 2 albums, 1 disc. The Bronx is a good band if you're feeling a little heavy. The Transplants, I always loved this album. This was a really good album. I thought it was really cool. It was kind of not really so much a super group, but it was like a low-key punk super group. And I really enjoyed the fact that this album got made. Love that one. Johnny Cash, 16 big hits. Johnny Cash is like, he's punk, Johnny Cash was punk before punk. This is a weird hip-hop compilation album that I think an old girlfriend left in my case, so I'd always, couldn't completely ever forget her, and I popped that in, I was like, God damn it, your name. I'm not going to say her name out loud. I should have probably tossed it, but it's trash. But it's all sexual hip-hop, and it kind of cracks me up. Alkaline Trio, Crimson, that needs to be back with the Alkaline Trio stuff. Dropkick Murphys, Blackout, don't really like them. I think this was more of an exploratory burn, just to see if I could get myself into them a little bit. We're going to have some blue albums that are looking funky here. This one is Avenged Sevenfold, Sounding the Seventh Trumpet. This one's Waking the Fallen. I like Avenged Sevenfold. I don't love them, but I like them. Nightmare's my favorite album by them. Ramones Mania, Greatest Hits. DK and the Sex Pistols, probably just a compilation thing. I love the Dead Kennedys. Sex Pistols, didn't really get into that much. It's fine. Gnarls Barkley, Saint Elsewhere, and The Odd Couple. I will keep that burn forever because those are 2 albums that I just absolutely love. Blues Traveler 4, also the only album I ever owned of theirs and the only one I give a crap about. It's a classic. It is what it is. Snow Patrol, Eyes Open, the only album I ever liked by them, and I still think it's pretty good. I made a Perfect Circle acoustic burn. Not bad. Say Anything is a punk compilation. Red Hot Chili Peppers Stadium Arcadium Disc 2. Where's Disc 1? I don't know. Against Me, The Eternal Cowboy, and Reinventing Axl Rose. 2 albums on 1. I was really into Against Me for a while. They kind of fell off the planet for me, though. Here's a fun disc. This is a disc of Block Party, A Weekend in the City, and I don't think I really like them that much. And then Ram Jam, Black Betty. That's it. Just one song. Ram Jam, Black Betty. Oh, Black Betty. Anti-Flag, Bright Lights of America. That's a really good album. New Kind of Army, Anti-Flag, really good album. Bright Eyes, I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning goes here, but it's in my car currently. That's one of the best albums of all time, in my opinion. The only one I really still go back to. I like Digital Ash and the Digital Urn too. Well, I like all these. Lifted, Letting Off the Happiness, Fevers and Mirrors, a collection of songs written and recorded 95 to 97. Definitely had my Bright Eyes phase. That's pretty much over for the most part. Fiona Apple, Title, one of my favorite artists of all time is Fiona Apple. I love her so much. I need to get all of her albums on vinyl, actually, but I think that'll cost me an arm and a leg. Joy Division's Closer. And The Hives, Vini Vidi Vici and Tyrannosaurus Hives. Their new album, The Story of Randy, whatever the hell it's called, pretty good. Was pretty impressed that the Hives came back that strong. Green Day is a Warning, Uno, Deuce, Dose, Deuce, Took a Deuce, Trace, Trey. I like Green Day. Always have, always will. Pennywise, Straight Ahead. Pennywise, Wild Card. Pennywise, self-titled, and The Strokes, Room on Fire. You definitely see a theme here. Like, I was definitely into some of the mainstream popular rock at the time, like The Strokes, but at the same time, I love punk. Guttermouth, that's the album with Godzilla on the front. I can't remember what it's called right off the moment, but this is a banger. Guttermouth, Eat Your Face, also banger. Friendly People, banger. And then a Pussifer compilation disc. God, there's so many burnt ones in here. State of Emergency by The Living End, an Australian punk band. Pretty good. Roll On, and then their self-titled debut. I liked them enough to at least own all of them. Snow Patrol, Final Straw. Maybe that's the Snow Patrol album I liked. I can't remember. Descendants, Enjoy, and All, and Milo Goes to College. Love the Descendants. Recently went and watched them live. Great time. Bad Religion was better, but great time. The Toadies, Heaven Below Me, Stars Above, I think is the name of this album. Toadies are one of the most underrated 90s bands. They're so good. Their discography is so much more than Rubberneck. Like, if you listen to all of them, like, I can't remember what the one is called. Play Rock Music. That's what it's called. Fantastic. And then Deliverance is fantastic. Heaven Below Me, Stars Above is fantastic. Feeler kind of sucks, and the newest one is not that great, but most of their albums are actually really freaking good. Bad Religion time, we've got Suffer, we've got Stranger Than Fiction, No Substance, How Could Hell Be Any Worse, No Control, Recipe for Hate, New America. Big Bad Religion fan, one of the best concerts I've ever seen. Warped Tour compilation 2007, so I was still keeping track of my CDs in 2007 at least. Then we got the Juno soundtrack. The worst 9 Inch Nails album is in my collection, Slip. I'm a big 9 Inch Nails fan, and that's definitely not my favorite. AFI's discography all in one disc, gotta love that. Dropkick Murphys again, really? I didn't know I did that. Okay, maybe I liked them a little bit. Franz Ferdinand, why is that in there? It's okay. It was okay back in the day. Against Me New Wave, I had a burnt copy, but look at there. I also have an actual copy. The Bouncing Souls, I'm not going to go... Yeah, I will. The Gold Record, Maniacal Laughter, Hopeless Romantic, Self-Titled, How I Spent My Summer Vacation, Greenball Crew, The Good, the Bad, the Worse, The Out of Print, Anchors Away, which is a promo copy. I like the Bouncing Souls, but I didn't like them this much, so... Maybe I was just collecting music at this time. I haven't listened to them forever. Tenacious D and The Pick of Destiny, definitely not their best album. That was their first one, but Tenacious D, always a good time. All Problematic, Descendants spinoff, All good album. Not as good as their best album, which I can't remember the name of right now. Misfits, American Psycho, and Static Age. I might pop that in today, actually. Modest Mouse, The Moon, and Antarctica. That's my favorite Modest Mouse album, and probably the only one I actually give a crap about, period. Then we've got the Arcade Fire Funeral. I remember when these guys came out, I saw in a magazine that this got high reviews, like one of the first publications about this album. I got it, was kind of blown away by it, and now I don't give a shit. Rage Against the Machine discography, Pantera, Cowboys from Hell. Don't even really like that album very much. It's fine. Pennywise, About Time. That needs to go with all the other Pennywise. My Chemical Romance, New 2011. I don't know if that was the Danger Days album or what. I might have to pop that in later. We're at the end. My Chemical Romance, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. I like that one a lot. This is The Political Party, a punk compilation album. Then I've got a random album, I'm not sure which one, by Billy Talent, and a Nitro Records Deep Thoughts compilation. And I've got room for more. That's going to do it for my collection there. Thoughts, prayers, comments, drop them down below. Interesting look into my past. Mostly punk, but definitely some other stuff sprinkled in. Let me know what's in your CD collection. Random fucking video, I know. I just kind of, I felt like doing some random shit today. So drop me your comments. Is my collection okay? It's going to hurt my feelings if you don't like it.